Good evening, everybody, and welcome to 10 out of 10 show. No Notes, episode 64 of Stat Check. One of the few dates a year where that joke works, where it's the same for both sides of the pond, and nobody gets confused, which is great. I'm Ennis. I'm joined by Jeremy, Anthony, and Nathan, and we hope you are all having a wonderful time this weekend as we go live, or this week, and had a great weekend as we go live to talking about all the stats, the numbers, and our general feelings on Warhammer from the past week or so. Before we get started, though, no, I don't have anything. How's everybody getting on? Anthony, start us off.
What? The last weekend was pretty good. I went up to BFS. I didn't play because I was busy on Saturday, but busy recovering from the traveling. When did I get back from LGT? Was that a week ago? 2 weeks ago? Fuck knows. Anyway, BFS was cool. I went up. It looked like the event ran well. It was in the Palisades Mall, kind of where it's been the last 2-3 years. I went to that event at some point in my competitive career. Don't know when now because COVID robbed me of my sense of time. The finals of that event actually is responsible for my most embarrassing loss, and I will tell that story at a later date, or if you catch me in person at a tournament.
I'll get you after the show.
Yeah, that's the lost a game without rolling dice to Sean. It's good fun. There's a stream of that somewhere. So yeah, it was good. It was good to go back. See a lot of the people, watch other people pilot world leaders because I've only really seen myself pilot world leaders. So that's
figured out why
cool.
the win rate's so low.
I mean, it's an army with no guns. It's not very easy to use. So that went well. Nothing else super interesting. I got to play a game without Invocatus being able to scout. So I just detached him from the unit and then used him to wallop Tyrannid shitter units until the end of the game when he killed a Trigon. Good job, Invocatus. You did it. His
Hero
fallback
plays.
in charge would have made that game a lot faster if he was in the unit when it was stuck in combat. But that's okay. So, it is what it is. Sometimes they make mistakes with their rulings, and this is the world we live in now. I think I'm just going to continue to play my LGT list unchanged because it works, and I don't like change. And I haven't found a way to spend those 25 points, but also I think it's really funny to watch people try and spend those 25 points. Like, I get sent a lot of world leaders lists now because I responded to a Reddit comment asking like how I did well, and then I answered them. So I have been getting a lot of world leader related questions. And there's a lot of people really, really upset. I thought it was like a joke that like people are like, must be 2,000 points or at least close. But like, no, people get like real upset. They're really trying and like make the list a lot worse to spend those last 25. But yeah, that's been my last week. A lot of answering questions about world leaders and doing world leader related activities, and then stopping by at a tournament. That was it.
Sure. Nathan, how about yourself?
I played some 40k, which is a novelty. I know, right? I took John Lennon's list and I played into Leagues of Votan, and I played into some world leaders, and proceeded to turn one detonate an Angron that got a little too close after I decided to ping Shadows turn one, so he didn't advance far enough to charge me turn one, really. So yeah,
come back at all?
He did not. He re-rolled with the thing every turn, and then did a re-rolled with fate. So like did all the re-rolls. He never rolled more than 2 6s the entire game on anything, so he never came back. He died turn one, and then decided he was not interested in any of the shenanigans ever again.
Yeah, that guy got abandoned by Corn. Hasn't happened to me yet.
These are
Never
turns.
will.
They don't have blood and just left.
What?
But
They're full of ichor, not blood. That's not the same thing.
it's true. There's no blood. It's just goop.
Like if you add ichor to your blood pile, that's an ichor pile now. Like that's just eaten by acid. So.
And then I played against Leagues of Votan by Seth on like Warzone Atlanta terrain, which was fine, except that their craters apparently are line of sight blocking.
Their craters are obscuring and their crates are breachable.
Yeah. Which is real funny when
no, the crates aren't even breachable
through the crates. Anything.
The crates count as being less than 2 inches tall, but also obscuring.
Just walk through it.
I told you about this.
A Maliceptor,
I missed that part. I thought it was just breachable.
No. Seth
So I
discovered
hit a
it in
Maliceptor
RTT.
behind it and like ran the Maliceptor through crates basically into the middle.
Hell yeah.
The games were both examples of why I should just take fixed with the army instead of tactical. I definitely should have just taken fixed in the games with Votan, and then I wouldn't have been trying to run across the board to try to capture the last objective and then not lose 69 to 56. Army's real good at not picking up Sagittar, real good at killing everything else. It picked up 20 Hearthguard without breaking a sweat. It just had no concerns. The Hive Tyrant killed 2 calls in melee combat, which was pretty funny.
That's an infantry model. That infantry models do not get to exist on the board against Tyranids. Everybody knows this.
Yes,
You got 3 wounds or less, Tyranids want to meet you.
It's true. Synaptic Nexus is pretty neat. Being able to reroll ones to hit into wound is kind of cool. Armor of Contempt is fine on Synapse creatures. Other than that, I'm going to keep playing Tyranids. I don't know what I'm going to do with Zoanthropes, but if I don't play Synaptic Nexus, I'll probably ditch Zoanthropes for something else.
That fallback and shoot is clutch for them.
It is. It's so good. Being able to fall back and shoot is real choice with the whole army.
Zoanthropes are the worst data sheet you have to play in Tyranids. It makes me so upset. They
They're
genuinely
good.
just suck. No,
I
nope.
mean, that's Termagants, really. That's if you're gonna play like the Unending Swarmless, Termagants are just
No, because they're genuinely a good data sheet in that detachment. They do tons of stuff.
They're
Zoanthropes are a las cannon that's 37 points. I just hate it.
No, you.
That's the name of all.
At least it's a lethal hits las cannon.
Yeah,
No,
and it's
I
got
refuse.
the
I
leader
refuse to
profile.
respect the Zoanthrope. It's movement 5. No,
It's not though. It's movement 5 plus D6, right?
so 6. Sure.
Yes. Other than that, it's fun. I'm painting a bunch of stuff. I entered an Avatar Arcane into a painting contest here locally, so I'm working on that for the end of October.
Nice.
Because
You
if
gonna
you're
win?
not painting monsters, no, probably not, because there are like several professional painters who paint in those competitions, and they
That's fair.
typically win.
I feel
Other
like there
than
should
that,
be a pros and amateurs category for painting competitions nowadays.
there probably should be, but it's like a local store one, and we just have several commission painters who operate out of our store basically locally. And then I'm looking forward to playing in this teams event where I am definitely the weakest link on.
Oh yeah, we'll plug that in a bit because that's
But
it's gone out of hand.
But I don't know. Innes, how was your weekend?
I didn't do a ton, which is nice. It doesn't usually happen a lot. I was meant to play some like 40k on Sunday, and then I got rescheduled to tomorrow, so I'm playing some 40k tomorrow instead. And other than that, I just kind of like didn't do anything for a weekend, which is like I said, not a thing I do get to do very much. So I just kind of vibed. It was nice. I've played a few games of 40k because I kind of do that a lot, but other than that, mostly building and painting some marine stuff. Smashing some lists together, playing a bit of TDS and stuff like that. But honestly, nothing too exciting for me. I go into, as of Saturday, I have 5 tournaments in 6 weeks though. So I get back to hectic real quick.
That's a lot of tournament.
It is a lot of tournaments. I'm only 2 of them are in Scotland as well. So
What 3? Cali finals.
I'm going down to England for Battle of Britain at the end of the month as well.
Sure.
It's
Okay.
it's still a different country, dude. Like, chill. It's like
Is
a
it?
weekend. It's like a weekend commitment and 8 hours of travel on each end, right? Like, it's not close. I realize for
8
you
hours?
that's very close, but
8
for
hours.
us, I could get almost
They're
anywhere.
driving probably.
Oh, I was like, bro, I took a 3-hour train from Edinburgh to London. What do you mean?
No, not going to Edinburgh is like still like a 6-hour train as well because it's not the fast route. It's not high speeds. But yeah, no. So yeah, I've got like an RTT this weekend, a local GT. Then I'm down in Nottingham for a team event. Then I fly to California. Then I have a weekend off. Then I fly down Atlanta. So it's somewhere in that I'm meant to have jury service, but I think I've got that postponed. We'll find out. Otherwise, the day after Atlanta, I need to be in Dundee, and I'm going to be in California, so that's going to be difficult. So we're going to figure that out as we go.
It does seem hard.
It's been interesting. I'm looking forward to getting back into playing a bunch of 40k. The Space Marine Codex looks super fun. I like it a lot more than the NIDS book, which feels weird given that it's a lot more of a nerf from the index than the NIDS book was. But I like the things it wants to do more than I like the things NIDS wants to do.
I was gonna say
Like,
you get to play
kill
fucking Iron
damage.
Hands.
Yeah,
It
I like the
does
fact it does
damage.
damage, and that makes me happy. Iron Hands, Games Workshop just making sure me and Nassim get tickets next year.
Yeah, for real.
But no, that's been me. How about yourself, Jeremy? Because you have the most interesting story.
Yeah, I played in a GT this weekend, and yes, Anthony.
My cat is yelling at me. I'll be right back.
Okay. So I went down to Quebec City. A friend of ours, Max, was hosting a GT out there, and I won my very first GT, which is, for some people who were there, very surprising. But I've never won a GT. I've won best overall. I've won team events. I've won lots of RTTs. Never won a GT before this, so it was pretty awesome.
Hell yeah, dude! Super happy for you. I'm glad you can finally get over that hump.
Yeah, as I was talking to a friend of mine a little while ago, it was very much a monkey on my back more than anything else, that I had not checked that one thing off, and now it's gone. So yeah,
That's right. Now next we get you your super major. All right.
let's start with a major.
No, Brian skipped major.
Brian skipped me.
Brian skipped GT, by the way.
Dude,
But
I've been doing the slow march up the.
have you had a super major yet, Anthony?
Nope.
We're gonna get you one of those as well, man. You gotta start. You gotta come back to singles for 3 months of a season to get a super major.
Oh, so fun fact, a thing I noticed while I was at BFS, someone was like, "Oh, what are you doing after finals? Like, what's your next singles event?" And I was like, "Oh, it's next September." And
Well, for LGT again?
maybe that's the closest possible one.
I keep telling you, you have to come and defend your title at Dust.
Yeah, maybe Dust, but
If you do Dust, I'll try and make Dust.
sure. We'll see how good World Eaters are. If World Eaters are still good when Dust happens, I'll try and win it again with Eaters.
God, that would be beautiful.
That would be
20
full circle.
Just 20 Tim in the finals again. Come get me Deet Leafs.
Or Tim.
No, tell us a bit about your GT, Jeremy. What did you play?
So I had been planning. I honestly had no idea what I was going to take until the data slate dropped. Mainly because I had no idea where the meta was going to shake out to. And as soon as I saw the data slate points, I immediately went, I'm going back to my short kings. I'm going back to Votan. Because while I could have run Dark Angels or a few other different variants, I decided that I wanted to paint 1,400 points of an army it turned out to be a week and a half before the event, because I kept pushing it back and running into I don't feel like painting moments. So I ended up painting about 1,000 points of it in the 4 days before the event. So I brought my Votan. I brought fairly standard Sagittar rush list: 30 warriors, 6 Sagittars, and 12 Thunderkin with Grav, a Call, a Lone Grimnir, and 2 Iron Masters, and then 2 units of bikes. The bikes were my MVP all weekend, because fast and fly is really nice to have in that army, because the rest of the army is, the Sagittars are fast, but everything else in the army is slow.
You mean to tell me you have a source of fast fly that isn't a 420 point demon Primarch?
Yeah, it's only 90
So do
points.
you. It's a regular Demon Prince. It's just not good fast fly.
What defines fast? Are we talking 10 inches or 12 inches?
I'd settle for 8 base with fly. That'd be fine. I would take Raptors and Eaters if they would let me.
You know, fly isn't good anymore, right, Anthony?
Fly is so good when there's gargoyles on the table.
That's true. That is.
So I will say, fly is also amazing when your opponent backs his Rhino up an inch away from the bikes, and that Rhino is full of Plague Marines, and you have guns that can only go on this side of the Rhino. So you fly the bikes over the Rhino, park exactly an inch away, and say, that Rhino's dead, and everything now disembarks in full range of all the guns.
Yeah, it seems bad.
It was real bad. That was my round 4 where I went in, and it was just so
you're gonna have a bad time now.
Yeah, the bikes. It was funny because turn 1, the bikes. I'll actually go through all 5 of my games, because they were actually all, for different reasons, 5 very fun games. Round 1, I played against a specter of myself, I will say, because his name was Jeremy. He was playing Dark Angels, and he was playing a rather fluffy list with the Lion and Azrael and Hellblast.
And he lost, so definitely Spectre of Jeremy.
Well,
I definitely saw myself 4
Jeremy.
years ago in him. So yes,
Jeremy in years past.
Yeah.
The ghost of Jeremy past.
Yeah, super friendly guy. We had a blast of a game. There wasn't really much of a question about who was going to win the game from the beginning. So instead, I did what I tend to do with those kind of games, and I turned it into a teaching game where I walk through how he could score more points, how he could make better use of the units. Let him do that for a couple turns, then realized I'd given up the 20 and went, oops. But at the same time, he had fun. He enjoyed the game. We chatted a little bit more through as the weekend went on. I told him about StatCheck because he had never heard of it, so he might be tuning in tonight. If he is, Jeremy, it was a pleasure meeting you and a pleasure playing you. So that was my run one. And his list was like, it was Hellblasters with Azrael and an Apothecary, which is cute. He did have the Aggressor Bomb, but didn't have a Land Raider to put them in, so that was a little unfortunate. And then he had a Terminator brick with a Strike Master. So, some interesting and nice tech, but definitely not an optimized list. Beautifully painted, though. He, as he was telling me at the beginning of the game, he's primarily a hobbyist more than a player. Yeah, and then round 2, I played into John Winter Russell, who is a dear friend of mine, and most people
Nicest
here
man on the planet.
Yeah.
I think everyone here has now met him because they would have met him because Nathan and Innes. I don't know if you actually met him, Innes. I know Nathan did meet him at WTC. He was our 5th
Might
coach.
have spoken to him, but not consciously known it was him. That's probably more likely.
Yeah, that makes sense. So he was our 5th coach for WTC. Anthony played him at Dust to a draw against his guard. John is a lovely person, and we both were having so much fun that we weren't paying attention to the clock on either side. And we only played 4 rounds of Warhammer, and it ended in a draw, which was that moment of like, right. And that was with the TL giving us an extra 5 minutes because he kept asking me rules questions. Max, I love you. We need a judge next event. So yeah, we played that out to a draw. Highlight of that game was I had a full unit of Thunderkin sitting in cover, unable to be seen by anything that would strip cover, and I lost the entire unit to indirect shots.
Oops.
Hell yeah.
Apparently, Manticore is rerolling everything on rerolling all hits against something that has 5 or more models in it is real good.
It's just okay, It's fine. It's fine.
Look, it's your fault for having stuff in range.
It's true.
On the
Should've just
table.
not been on the table.
I said what I said, and I do not recant a single instance of what I said.
So at this point, it was kind of interesting because my original goal for the weekend was to just go 5-0 and not care about points. Now that I had a draw, I cared about points.
Hey, pickles.
What?
Hello, Kitty. So round 3, I went into Cedric, who was playing CSM. He had a big brick of Possessed with a Master of Possession, big brick of Terminators with Abaddon, a couple Forge Fiends, a unit of Warp Towns, and a unit of Obliterators, and a couple units of Cultists. It was...
I love those Possessed. They're so not the right way to go, but they are cool.
They are cool. They killed a Sagittar, and then they died horribly.
Exciting.
Right.
And the Terminators killed 5 Hearthkin Warriors, and then they died. And
Sick.
so this game was, we were playing Sites of Power, which is a choice.
One of the missions in the pack for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not in the Champions, which we'll talk about later.
Playing Servo Skulls.
Yeah. So anyways, we were playing this mission. I identified really early on that I could just starve him out of primary. So I just threw a bunch of warriors on objectives, left them as bait because he had nothing cheap to go and dig them out with. And he came full forward at me, at which point I dropped in all of my reserves, my Terminator, my Hearth Guard, as well as both units of Thunderkin. And Abaddon's Terminator squad was wiped, and Abaddon was down to 6 wounds at the end of my turn 2. And the Possessed, they had 2 left with the Master of Possession, and they were just kind of sitting there next to a Sagittar that they then failed to kill in melee because Possessed are only strength 5. And Sagittars are toughness 10.
If you don't seal them, they are incapable of doing damage.
Yep. Hilariously, when he zealed them the first time and they went into the Sagittar, they barely killed it.
Yeah,
Because he just couldn't roll 6s.
that'll happen.
Yep. It was, he rolled 5 6s exactly, and I was like, it's dead. Barely.
Yeah. That unit makes me so fucking sad. I have 30 possessed
it has
models.
such a possibility of being good.
They would have to rewrite the data sheet in the new book for it to be good. Like 512 is just like an unacceptable melee profile.
I mean, at least you get dev wounds.
Sure.
I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it's better than what it could be. Could be.
Yeah,
the,
it could just not have any keyword, I guess.
It's true.
Actually, the ultimate disrespect would be if it had like sustained. That would be just complete dog shit.
No, because then you could always pact for lethal.
I guess.
Sustained lethal's kind of nice.
It's not that nice, is
It
it?
just- I know. It just means that you would never make them undivided. You would make them Slanesh.
Then you
probably
couldn't
Corrin.
profane zeal. What are you guys on about?
Yeah, but you wouldn't profane zeal then because you don't care about rerolling all wounds. You just want to reroll all hits
No,
with the lethal.
hold on. Jeremy's onto something. You wouldn't profane zeal ever with that unit because it would never see the table.
Fair. Maybe, I don't know, knock 7 points of model off and then take away the
Jeremy,
damage
just
sustained.
stop, dude.
All right,
Like,
all
you
right.
can't. Possessed are really good at making the Master of Possessions kill Magnus. That's all I got.
Yeah, that guy fucks Magnus
Yes.
up.
That is very true.
What do you mean I don't get my -1 damage?
He fucks him up in shooting as well. You get the
Yeah.
twofer.
You get the dev wounds in shooting, then dev wounds in combat, and then he goes away. It's great.
So that round was a 20-0. I basically at that point just put my foot on the gas and said, no, I need points because I needed to now go 4-0-1 and score more points than anyone else who ended up 4-0-1. Which
I
spoiler
can
alert,
milk you.
round 4, Francois, who was at this event, was playing Unending Swarm and was 3-0 at the end of day 1. I was like, oh, you're gonna dodge me. And because we had played we had played this matchup and I had tabled him in 2 turns, because if anything that Votan have, it's volume into hordes, because every single gun is blast that matters in the army. But anyway, so I was getting a little sketched out, and it showed at dinner. But so Sunday morning I played into Death Guard on Purge and just went, so I'm going to get hold more, and maybe a kill. And you're going to get hold, kill, and kill more every turn because I can't kill you. Or at least I can't kill you nearly as efficiently as you can kill me now. And he also took the -1 weapon skill and ballistic skill contagion, which when your army is weapon skill and ballistic skill 4, hurts
It is annoying.
real bad when you get in contagion range. And it was funny, actually. He was talking about the various buffs that Mortarion gave out, and he's like, you know what, I'm actually going to use this one. And he started taking the increase in contagion range buff on Mortarion, just so that I would have to sit outside of 12 inches to shoot him now. Because turns out that when you pop Cloud of Flies and give stealth to a unit and you're within that range, Votan hit on 6s, sometimes 5s. Feels great. So did play through that game. Ended up winning it on secondaries because he deployed a little too defensively and couldn't get out and do some of the secondaries that he drew. Whereas for this entire weekend, I just played fixed cleanse and homers because I had a whole bunch of trash units that could just sit on objectives and say, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. And then round 4, Francois drew. And so now we're sitting here at the end of round 4 with 4 of us on 3 wins and a draw. And we're all going to play into each other. So my options are I play into Eric Marcoux, who is a Quebec City local who is playing Eldari, or I play into Francois, who's playing the Unending Swarm bit list with 50 gargoyles and I think it was 100 gaunts. I'm pretty confident into both of these, but that means that whoever I don't get ends up playing John. And we don't know where that's going to settle out. So this is always the fun thing of draws and 5-round events where you can end up with 2 people that are undefeated. And so round 5, I pair into Eric. Francois then pairs into John. Our games kick off, and Eric taps the top of 2.
What went wrong for the Eldar there?
Eric did not. So deployed as I had been deploying most of the game. Sagittars online. We're playing WTC fixed layouts. Sagittars having Scout 6 means I can deploy on the line and with that 6-inch movement, because I've pre-measured it all out, hide behind ruins so that none of his fire prisms or anything else can see me. He's going to shoot me at night spinners. I don't really care too much. He only has 1 night spinner. He can't crack my transports, which means that the in-card doesn't go anywhere, which means that I'm basically safe. I go first and just move everything forward. Drop tokens on the Yin-Karn, on his Hornet, and on one of his Warwalkers, and a unit of War Spiders, I think. I can't remember this.
Garbage in the Yin-Karn. Garbage in the Yin-Karn.
Yeah. And basically the goal here is I'm just going to push as much forward into you, because if I do enough damage early on, you cannot come back. And so turn 1, I only killed a Warwalker and a Hornet, and that was fine, because at this point I now have, we're playing, I think it was Take and Hold. We were playing Take and Hold with hidden supplies, which meant that, and so at the end of my turn 1, I have sticky objective in my home with warriors that have now run away so that they're not on the objective in the event that they die to a night spinner and the Incarn can't get onto the objective. So that objective is now mine for the rest of the game, unless he comes down with Shadow Specters.
I hate that that's a play line we have to just like even consider.
Pardon?
I said I hate that that's a play line we have.
You
to,
also have to
even
walk off in
consider.
case they draw overwhelming force, Anthony. You gotta remember that.
Sure.
I definitely have done that too. I did that 2 times this weekend against players that were playing tactical, where I just said, that's sticky to me. I'm leaving it. You're not getting overwhelming force on that unit of warriors.
The poor Chaos Knights player I played at LGT, where for 4 turns I didn't have a unit on an objective because I was like, I'll get 5 in endgame, and I got my home sticky, bro. You can hold on to overwhelming force.
Nice.
And he just kept keeping it.
Yeah. Oh, just get rid of that at that point. And so, I positioned myself well. I have home sticky, and I have warriors on the other 4 objectives. Now, stay and hold, so don't, or was it priority?
Doesn't matter.
It was priority, actually. Doesn't matter, but he's looking at the board state at the end of my 1. Now, I'm going to be getting the 3 bonus CP for Ruthless Efficiency in my turn 2, because I killed the Hornet and the Warwalker, both of which were my tokened items, and then went forward and looked at the... he looked at the board and said, and it was I could see that he was trying to figure out how to hold me to a 5. And I told him, I was like, you have to kill me off of 4 objectives. This isn't going to happen. You cannot hold me to a 5 this turn. You just have to accept that I'm going to get a 10. And he's like, okay, yeah, you're right. And then so he does some moves. He had teleported the Yin-Karn to where the Warwalker was when it died. The Yin-Karn went over and started flamering a couple of my warriors. I didn't really care, because what he did there was one of his bigger mistakes. He put the Yin-Karn in the open within range of me being able to drop Thunderkin that ignore modifiers right behind him. So I did that.
And then there wasn't a Yin-Karn there anymore.
Surprisingly, the Yin-Karn left on 3 wounds. It was very awkward. I was like, oh, Yin-Karn has 3 wounds left. But one of the things that he had done was he had used a single fire prism to screen out the rest of his backfield, and used the linked fire to kill 2 of my transports with the other fire prisms that were in his backfield. At the end of his turn, he's like, oh, right, I meant to fire and fade this fire prism out of the way so you can't see it. And I was like, I'm not really, you know what? Fine, just do it. And as I'm then taking my turn, I realize that him doing that left a perfect Terminator-shaped gap right next to his fire prism. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. Drop the Hearthguard right next to 9 inches away from the fire prism, in cover, behind a ruin, so they can only be seen by like 1 or 2 models if he does decide to go after them afterwards, and proceed to pick up. So the Incarn's down to 3. Pick up a unit of Warp Spiders. Pick up his a unit of Swooping Hawks that had done engage for him. And at this point, he's starting to run low on resources, and I make the 9-inch charge into the fire prism. Pick up the fire prism, tag his Night Spinner, and I have now a unit of Hearthguard on his home objective, turn 2. And
yeah, I can see why he concedes.
Yeah, he has 2 fire prisms left, a tagged Night Spinner, a 3-wound Yin-Karn that's now sitting on the other side of the table because he teleported to where the Swooping Hawks were when they died, and 2 units of Shadow Specters in reserve.
Yeah, for all they're not an army with a lot of stuff, right? Once they start running out of things
when you start
fast.
losing that amount of stuff, we were looking at the table state and we were just like, all right, you've scored 25 points. Can you score 26 or 25 more to deny me the 20. And I was like, you're not going to score any more primary because I'm sitting on everything, and everything is down. And 5 of the 6 objectives are now sticky to me. So next turn, I'm just going to walk off them. And then on, we walked through it. We talked through a couple of things. We looked at what his card draws would be like. No, there's no way that you're going to score. So we called it there. I'm sitting on the 20, and Francois was 2 points ahead of me going into this round. So I'm now waiting on the outcome of Francois's game against John. Which John went first and did the extra move order on everything and just shoved Francois all the way back into his zone. So he was basically digging out of guard bodies the same way that everyone else had been digging out of gargoyles for the rest of the weekend. He ended up winning that game, I think 12-8, might have been 13-7, but not enough to catch me. It gets me the points. I win the event. Which is yay.
Also, I assume at that point, Francois was knackered.
So here's the interesting thing. He had, because Francois and I played events together all the time. It's not unusual that it's like him in first, me in second, third, or somewhere in the podium. This was the first Quebec tournament that he was not first. I was first, and he was second. But yeah, he actually had an amazing weekend. He had so much fun. I think 3 or 4 of his opponents clocked out while he was just sitting there going, hee.
People stress a lot when they play against Horde armies. It's one of the more interesting things about that faction. Even when you were playing like Gene Cult with like the 120 odd bodies last edition, people just spend a lot of time thinking when you have a lot of stuff on the board. They're like, I don't know what to do. I'm overwhelmed. Yep. It's very interesting. Once you're practiced on those armies, they're not as bad to play. Like, people give them a lot of shit for being slow and stuff like that, but they're really not that bad.
He was
Didn't lock people in decision paralysis because you just have
exactly.
so many decision points to make, right? So if
or
you
in
have
some cases
30
so many
units
dice to roll.
Yeah.
Or if you just like, especially as like the horde side of things, if you're just like never rolling a shot,
Never rolling a shot, never rolling a save, you're just
move,
dudes
go
up.
nuts. Yeah.
I think in his game against Eric, round 4, where they drew, he killed 6 models. It was like a unit of spiders and I don't know what else. I think he might have killed a hornet.
I mean, the
But,
point of the
like-
army is not to kill things, right?
No,
At
it's
the end of
just
the day.
to score. You take fixed, you choke your opponent out of primary, especially if you go first. You just go, fly my gargoyles, and they go out and make a line an inch away from your opponent's DZ, and you hope that they don't have fly, or they hope they have fly.
But it's really tough on the UKTC boards when you could score 50 primary in your deployment zone, but
Those missions are so bad.
those are just the missions, dude. There aren't more missions.
There
No.
are more missions.
There are more missions and there are more combinations, as we discovered last night.
Yeah, I was gonna say
which-
I spent 3 hours helping write an event pack last night. You fuck.
Oh,
I know
no.
there are more missions now.
You playing Scramble Fields and Secret Intel? What about the one where you get an extra card every turn? You play 3 cards.
That's
You just
that's one
always
of them.
score 50.
Oh, it's not
think we-
perma. It's like draw 2, cycle 1.
Yeah,
Well, that's
Secret
one of
Intel.
them. There's also one of them that's just draw 3.
Yeah.
Play 3, and if you're playing fixed, you get a card every turn that's
Yep.
not in the fixed pile.
Can you
That one is-
discard it for a CP still?
Yes.
Yeah.
Play fixed and
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Also, you could do the double up and get both of them and play 4 card, draw 4, discard 1 every turn.
no more. Stop.
That's
Look,
the
man,
one in
there's
which
a
you
reason
actually
we play-
cycle
there's a
through the
reason we
deck in
play-
4 turns.
Yeah. There's a reason we play Chilling Reign, all right?
It's not even that. It's the like none of the game mattered because primary was joke the entire time mission that drives me fucking insane.
priority
Yeah, 'cause I
targets.
scored 40 points on turn 5.
So
Yeah.
stupid.
No,
I love
seen it
priority
happen
targets. It's
multiple
great.
times. But yeah, it was a good weekend. Max ran a really tight, clean event. Shout out to Dan from the Red Dragon for supplying a whole bunch of the terrain on short notice to him because they had some terrain that they were building for WTC Ruins that imploded.
Always.
I don't know the full details of it. He just said
Oh,
that
great.
it destroyed itself, and I was like, okay.
Okay. I was like, I heard Francois was coming. I didn't want to be around that many gargoyles.
He looks less homeless. Thanks, Brian.
That was
If
what I said.
you're gonna insult the personalities, guys, at least super chat with it. Come on, Brian.
Yeah, get it together, Brian.
We know Brian's got the money for it.
That's true.
All right. With that,
Tax
then,
haven.
let's go into the stats. Jeremy, keep talking.
Oh,
I thought it was.
I know it's Nathan's job.
I'll do
but-
it.
I was going to
It's
say it's
fine.
Nathan's
Nathan,
joke.
do the stats. Come on,
Fine.
get to it.
I don't even know. No, I do have it.
Sure. I have it open
That
and
faster.
I have visuals too this time.
Oh fuck! This is gonna translate so badly to audio.
It's gonna be terrible. I'm gonna probably stop doing visuals eventually, but it kind of amuses me.
Don't stop doing the visuals.
It would be
If you're
fucking
listening to the
hilarious.
podcast, youtube.com/statcheck. Go and watch the show. Don't be a second-class citizen.
It would be the Giga Funny if you opened it and it was just a pie chart. And
It
like
might
Cliff
be.
is watching the episode and just loses his mind.
He
So the
opens a
real-
PowerPoint presentation. It's an audio file that he clicks.
It's really extra funny because I also hate pie charts.
Yes.
Three-dimensional
It needs to be a
pie
pie
charts are
charts.
the worst. Anytime you put three-dimensional charts in front of me, a part of my brain just like dies because most
So,
three-dimensional charts.
You guys
are
know what to do. If you're in the StatCheck Patreon Discord, tag Nathan in 3D pie charts. Just
only if you are also going to buy me coffee.
you have my and Anthony's full and express permission to post them in any channel you like as well. There are
Don't
no
do that.
Not even permission, encouragement. You have my
Yes.
express encouragement.
we would actively like you to make his life a 3D pie based misery for the next, let's say, 6 weeks.
24 Wow, I was gonna say 24 hours.
Let's make this
Jesus.
thematic. It can be a Chicago deep dish pizza chart.
Sure.
What about a 3D sphere chart, Nathan?
3D sphere chart. Oh.
Why? 3D charts are actually pointless. Unless the three-dimensionality
No, they have
has a
lots of data
purpose.
points on them.
A 3D sphere chart that's Mercator
No.
projected into a rectangle.
I'm not gonna go into this a stats lecture and visualization lecture. Oh my god, I've already
I've just been
in
tagged.
something. God damn it! All right, if you're gonna tag me in these though, you owe me a cup of coffee every. time
Nope,
tag
you
me.
owe Nathan
That's just
nothing.
what it
He
is.
deserves nothing. Give him nothing
Please don't.
except 3D pie charts.
All right, we're going into the stats now. All right, the top performing faction of the weekend from a win rate perspective is Black Templars, I guess, who won 61% of their games, but only got one top 4 placement and 6 top 10 placements. So I really don't care about them actually all that much. But our top performing faction after that, who I actually care about, is Leagues of Votan, who only had 4 more players than Black Templars, so they only made up 3.5% of the meta. But they did win 60.5% of their games. Jeremy won their one event win for the weekend. They had 3 top 4s, 8 top 10s, and a 1.8 over rep.
It's not bad.
Rate below them by win rate is Eldari, who had 60 players over the weekend, making up 9.1% of the meta. They had a 60.2% win rate for the weekend with 5 event wins, 11 top 4s, and 20 top 10s. So Eldari dominance continues with an over
Fixed army. Fixed army.
Yeah, they're perfectly fine. World leaders are in 4th, 2.7% of the meta, a 57.6% win rate, but no event wins, no top 4s, only 5 top 10s. So overall, a 0 for overrep for that faction. And then
Fuck
in 5th,
yeah,
we have-
boys, we're back to 9th. Fucking
Back-
decent chunk of the meta, good win rate, ain't no one podium with them.
You guys are really, really good at going 4-1 and 3-2.
Dude, they are the 3-2, 3-3 fucking heroes that I need them to be.
I think they're like, I don't have this infection's never getting fucking nerfed.
I don't need it to get buffed.
my
I just
God.
don't want it to get nerfed. Not asking for a lot.
Orcs are the 5th best faction for the weekend. 37 players, 5.6% of the meta, a 57% win rate, but they won 2 events, had 4 top 4s and 9 top 10s for a 1.49 over rep. The other event winners from the weekend were Thousand Suns, Chaos Demons, and then, oh my gosh, Necrons, I believe. Yep. Those are our other GT winners for the weekend.
Demons?
At the bottom of the
Demons,
yes, Demons.
Chaos Knights,
Demons won
Thousand
something.
Suns. Yeah.
Hey, do
I
you know
like
what? Well
Chaos Knights
done
as
to
a
all the
win.
BTR factions for finally figuring out a list that works.
Fuck yeah, guys.
I don't have
Hero
Chaos Knights
plays.
with the GT win, but
Yeah,
that's okay.
all the B tier factions and demons that won an event. Jesus Christ.
In the bottom of the pile, we have Blood Angels at the very bottom, 26 players, a 3.9% meta representation, and a 30.9% win rate, which is
Oh my god.
definitely
sorry.
some feelings.
Run that one by me again.
30.9% win rate. They actually had more players than Votan as well. They had 3 more players than Votan playing Blood Angels over the
Oh
weekend.
my sweet baby angels.
Guys,
At
what are
least
you
the-
doing? That
I love
faction's
it.
not bad.
Well,
Well, not-
surely the next faction won't be one I like to make up for it, right?
It's definitely Drukari.
Nice.
Who had-
Sick.
who barely make the cut for factions that we want to track because they barely had more than 10 players. They had 11 players, 1.7% of the meta, a 34.6% win rate, which is actually legitimately just terrible. Like, honestly, guys, Drukari are the worst faction currently in the game. Blood Angels are there.
I put Drakari at
But-
21 in my meta report tier list this
I
month.
also did.
Dude, I put demons at 21 and 22 under Drakari, but that's okay.
That's not okay.
It's not how that worked.
works.
It definitely went
No.
19, 21, 20, but sure.
No, I got the order wrong and it got fucked up.
There's no 22 either.
Yeah, I know. It's whatever it was.
The other factions below 45% in no particular order are actually from top to bottom are Death Watch, Custodes, Astra Militarum, Grey Knights, Gene Stealer Cult, and Imperial Knights for weekend performance.
You know what? That all makes sense. I think all those factions suck. So
I think GSC's good. They just don't seem to be converting.
you remember how like everybody had a plan for GSC at the end of last meta and then they got worse?
No, I get it, but like I don't feel like everybody had a plan. I feel like everybody had a plan for GSC in teams, and then I feel like that was like 3 armies, and if you didn't land one of those counters, you were like, oh,
Yeah, that's
shit.
fair. I don't know. I feel like there's just enough going wrong with GSC, and every GSC player was like, well, fuck this when
Yeah,
that
no,
change
that-
happened.
No, that's fair. It's Myson and TJ out there waving the flag.
God. The worst sign, though, I think for Drukari is that their play rate has actually dropped this week below any other faction. That it's a mono codex faction.
I could
No,
not
they-
imagine playing them right
Barely.
now.
Barely.
Barely. They're 1 player below Sisters.
But Sisters had a 51.6% win rate this
Yes,
weekend.
and they had 3 podiums, basically. They had
They
3
did.
top 4 finishes.
Sisters are like low-key doing way better than I think they deserve to be, and I kind of love it.
It turns out that when you make Arcoflagellants like 13 points a model, they're actually not terrible.
I think
Well,
that's
Yeah.
I think the difference in play rate is pretty easily explained by the fact that Sisters can still do something. Drukari just like, what are you supposed to do with that army?
Dark Lances and Prey, baby!
But even that is like you're a shooting army that's not very good at it, or you're certainly not a melee army. You're
Here's the
not.
interesting bit. Over the last 4 weeks, so since the data slate has come into play, the least played mono army is actually AdMech.
Yep.
But they've managed 2 top 4s, so they're just below 1 on meta rep, and they're at a 48% win rate. Sisters have 2 players more than AdMech, 2.5 times the top 4, so they've had 5. So they're sitting at almost a 2 on overrep over the last 4 weeks. And then you have Drukari, who has 8 players more than Sisters at 56 over the last 4 weeks, and they have a 40% win rate over those 4 weeks.
Oh,
And they have managed 1 event win,
Yeah.
which also translated to 1 top 4.
yeah, they like. I think the thing with Drukari is that they just don't. It's like it's not even that it's bad. It's why though. Like, why would you do this to yourself?
Yeah. I have the real, like, what is this a faction's competitive advantage? What does it do better than anyone else? And so far my list just says the first Void Raven Bomber, and then it doesn't have a second item on that list.
Yeah, like it just doesn't do anything. Like I don't. It looks like they got like a little lost in the faction identity step because like their detachment is bad, which is annoying, but like it doesn't like AdMech is like good enough data sheets that are cheap enough at this point, couched in a bad detachment. Like yeah, whatever,
Yeah.
unlucky.
And when they get a real detachment, by the way, that's going to be...
Coming
Jeez.
Yeah,
soon.
that army might slam.
Coming soon.
But Drukari is like questionable data sheets with a pretty good army rule in an awful detachment, and it's like, all right, what are we doing?
And then, but I think also Wandering Worm has a point, which is that why play Drukhari when you can just play Inari and you can have the good Eldari datasheets with what few datasheets from the Drukhari Index are good. Like you can just staple Ravagers on, maybe staple in some random nonsense, and
Well,
then
you
you just
also
have the
get-
Eldari book. And you get
also
the
get the-
Incarn,
You get the detachment rules for Eldar as well, right? So you get to
which
reroll
is
hit and
better.
wound. Yeah, it's so
and
much
you get
better.
Fuegan, and yeah, it's great.
You get fate dice.
Yeah, and if you
Yep.
keep going down the line, you just replace all those Drukhari models with Eldar models, and your army's way better.
Yeah, it's true. You get suddenly you're like a almost 60% win rate faction, and you're doing real great. And then I did say I was going to put up some visuals. So I'm going to put up some visuals about how the meta is doing, so you guys can kind of see what we're talking about a little bit. Because I know people love visuals or something. I don't know.
We all love visuals.
I don't know anymore. We'll share not my entire screen. We're going to do this, and then we're going to pop over. All right.
Yes.
This is just the metadata dashboard. It is a screenshot that Cliff took and then put in our chat, and I just stole it for this purpose because it's fun. So if you want to follow along at home, you can go to stat-check.com, go to our little meta dashboard at the top, click 10th edition, and this will be the first screen that you see. And what you really can see from here is kind of what we were talking about just a little bit, where you can look at, this is essentially just balanced data slate forward, so it's 4 weeks worth of data. At the top, you can see Eldari still, and then Black Templars, which I guess is a thing, and then Leagues of Votann. Eldari are still winning the most events. They have 10 event wins, which is more than anybody else. But the spread of event wins is significantly improved post-data slate as compared to pre-data slate. We have 3 factions who are kind of tenuously above the 55% line, which is Eldari, Black Templar, and Leagues of Votann. And then we have a whole sea of folks that are inside the balanced data window, including Adeptus Custodes, which I think is just because of the way that it rounds up. With the only 3 factions who are below being Imperial Knights, Drukhari, and then Blood Angels.
Real rough
who are real
overrep
sad.
on Custodes, by the way.
Yeah, Custodes haven't been doing a lot of placing. So they have a 0.33. They haven't been placing a lot. I think Custodes are seeing a little bit of competitive abandonment. They've dropped from like kind of a 6 to 9% representation to like a 4 to 5 essentially. So
Which is still a lot for an objectively kind of not good faction. But
Well,
right.
Custodes with only slightly less overrep than World Leaders, despite having 20% less win rate or something. Good job, boys.
I also
World
think
Leaders holding
there's
down the fort.
it'll be interesting to see kind of how the next few weeks go. Some people are saying there's some like room to adapt still in that index for Custodes players, and that maybe some Custodes players just haven't kind of started to do that.
I think Stefan just did pretty well at LGT with them, didn't he? He went like 4-1.
Yeah. I mean, Stefan is also just generally pretty good at Warhammer, right? So
Sure, but like everyone,
he
like
went 3-1-1 at
there you go.
LGT.
Yeah,
yeah,
but,
which is like respectable, but you know, it's a 70% win rate. Like it's good. Don't
that's
get me wrong.
good.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's just like I think there is stuff that you can do in Custodes that is strong. It just isn't as strong as what everything above that is doing.
Yeah.
And it
And
kind
then
of
the other thing to
requires a
look
bit
at-
of pilot skill to get there. And Custodes isn't generally a faction that draws in people who want to play a high pilot skill faction. I think that's a fair, like, I don't mean that in an insulting way, but it's generally a faction that's touted as being easy to play, fairly simple.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, and then like you change that to a now it's a melee faction that is durable in the right circumstances, very fragile in others, that has to like play with a lot of care, and that's not what the faction identity's been for a long time. And suddenly you have a bunch of people who are kind of like left without a home faction wise, and they're all playing CSM now.
I think if they like had just like if their like faction detachment was basically like the Stormlance detachment, like if Custodes just advanced in charge, like the MSU version of Custodes would be quite good. But requiring like a blade champ in every fucking squad means that you're like situationally durable and like situationally not, and also kind of slow.
Yeah, and
I
the
don't know,
blade champ being once per game and also stopping you taking like all of the other really good characters is genuinely painful. Like Valerian's a really cool character that would be incredible in any other book, and is just like the 5th best Custodes character, so it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And we do have a Custodes book coming soon, though, don't we? They're in the chart.
Yeah, they're in like
Or
the
December.
winter
Yeah,
batch, so
winter
like somewhere.
2023, right?
Which is
Okay.
sometime probably March 2024.
Well, no,
They're
they said
spring then.
It
They're
says
spring, not winter.
2023.
Winter is Necrons and Mechanicus. I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
it's like
okay.
early next year.
Weird.
So we'll
And
probably
Dark Angel and
see...
CSM are in that batch as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so they'll all probably be in like March. We might see one of the Mechanicus or Necrons books by the end of the year or something like that. I don't know.
We'll have them for WTC.
Yeah.
I would expect to
World
see-
Eaters are the faction that I just kind of wanted to point out. Anthony made this point earlier that they've kind of returned to their 9th edition ways, which you can kind of see reflected in their stats for the last 4 weeks, where they have a 0.48 for overrip, so they're not placing
It's my
a lot in top
boys.
fours, but they do have a very respectable win rate.
Yeah, you
which
see
is
Eldar and Deathwatch have all of their overreps still.
I
Yeah.
do love the Death Watch over rep.
I think the thing with World Eaters is that like the army is really difficult to play to close a tournament, and it's sometimes the game is really easy to play as World Eaters, but that happens about as often as they have overrep, right? Like the overrep there could be explained by like the World Eater player that went first 5 times in his tournament. Like,
All right.
Yeah.
If you want to see something really fun right now,
Sure.
go to the meta.
Oh no.
Yeah, you have
Yeah,
to
you're
actually
there.
go to the website.
you're
Now I
there.
have
He's
to go
on
to
it.
the website. Oh, I was actually on the website
you were.
already.
It was
What
just-
am I doing?
You're
Go-
on the website in the meta. You were in the right place the whole time.
Go back to state of the game on the
It's
top.
like we planned it.
Oh my gosh. We're going back to state of the game again.
Yeah, we're going back here. Click on World
What
Eaters.
did it do? Clicking on World Eaters.
Oh, this is gonna hurt.
Look at the record distribution.
That's my boy.
There it I love this. This is
We
my
have
favorite.
One band, one wavelength.
Is there 1-5 win? Is that me again?
There's 2.
Ah, so close.
There's 2 5 wins.
I do just love it though that they are the most powerful 2-3-3-2 army.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you're in a tournament and you're in the 1-1 bracket, you better be fucking scared if you pair World Eaters. Aside from that, you're probably gonna be all right.
Maybe the 2-0 bracket too. After that,
Yeah, if you're 3-0 and you pair World Eaters though, like you're probably gonna be fine. Unless
Now, to be fair, if you're in the bottom half and you pair World Eaters on day 2, you're just losing as well,
yeah,
right?
you're
Like,
fucked. Yeah, you're just dead. Unlucky,
like
sorry.
you're 0-3 or 1-3, you pair World Eaters, you sorry, bro, not your
Can't
day.
win. It's not happening. Angron's coming back every turn in that game.
I'm gonna
Really
dying
other-
every turn in that game. He's playing against sisters. They kill him once on turn 7.
Maybe.
And the
Maybe
other
they're
thing that
playing
I
against Drukari and they just never kill him at all.
Look at that Eldar decline. It makes me so almost
So
happy.
good.
It doesn't make me
4
actually
week
happy,
running average.
but like it helps so much.
Yeah.
So this is the 4 week running average where it basically shows post data slate just the whole thing compressing. which
If
is
you
just
average
ridiculous.
out Eldar and Drukari,
Ah.
it's a real faction.
If
I mean, actually, Drukari only have 793 games played compared to 5,000
Yeah, it's like a-
for Eldari.
6-1.
if you're
yeah.
a really hateful person, you can also take great joy in just like following Imperial Knights across the sport chart.
Oh, yeah, from here. And then we.
Do you know what? Do you know what? As somebody who really doesn't like Imperial Knights, as I'm sure nobody's noticed before, yeah.
Nobody
can't
has
believe-
ever noticed.
I
it's
can't
true.
believe they were that high to begin with, but that is
Sorry.
definitely my.
You want to have a
bias.
really good time as well. Follow Admech.
Where are they? Oh
Right
Jesus!
here.
Christ
They go
alive.
off the screen here,
Actually, the Admic one looks really healthy.
and then they actually bounce back up into the balance window. Essentially.
Because if you
They're-
click
they're
on them, it
fine
will just
now.
They're
isolate.
above half now.
This is where we go.
Look at that.
It's actually pretty good. all things considered.
That's just straight up like that's the Big Dipper. Like it's the constellation.
That's the balance
And then-
data slate hard at work, baby.
The Custodes one is also.
God, I love that we have this website though. You can just I never like even remotely express how much I love this website to everybody. Like y'all just be thankful
Also-
that Jeremy and Nathan and Cliff have put this stuff together.
Custodes players, you're still within the balance window. Like, look at this. You've
Yeah,
only
it's also
rocked
just
to the
fine.
bottom of it. You're also
Yeah.
just fine. Every time a Custodes player complains at me, I'm like, you're in the balance window. You're fine.
Now,
you
to be
could
fair
do
though,
that.
can I ask how much if you go from like that one that's highlighted at the end, like how much does the games played change?
This is 3,329. I mean, that's only 55 at the beginning. But
Yeah.
Remember,
It
this
looks
is a
like it-
4-week running average, so it'll
this
take
is a
those
4
last-
week running average. So, yeah, sorry, Jeremy. So like, but you can look at Drukari. They've just been under the whole time. They were briefly okay.
It turns out if you don't give them any buffs in the balance data slate, they
They
stay
don't have
bad.
Stuff. And then
Here's
their
Death Guard.
Ravagers went up, which was the one usable data sheet.
Death
Look at
Guard
Death
looking
Guard.
frankly wholesome.
I think if you just give
Up
them
to
old power from
respectability.
pain back, Jakari will be fine.
And then
I
Leagues of
genuinely
Votann
stand
is
by.
going to be interesting.
Balance data slate was genuinely really good, except for the Eldar bit. Everything else in that balance data slate was great.
And here's Leagues of Votann generally linear increase across weeks, which is going to be great.
I think that's going to continue to go into the problematic zone soon, but for now,
Yeah,
As more and more people acquire Sagittars from questionable
just-
sources.
yeah, every time you play against Votann, it's like, why do you get 2,400 points? What are we doing?
You're Chaos Knights as well.
CK, you're good.
CKR genuinely just a strong army.
And then Deathwatch just for NS.
Deathwatch don't belong in the balance window. I don't know what the fuck is going on there.
I don't feel like Deathwatch shouldn't be allowed to be tracked. Like, you should just not be able to know what Deathwatch are doing right now. Like, that
Yeah.
faction just confuses me and I don't want to see it, so...
There are 1,000 Suns, perfectly balanced.
T-Suns
Look.
are also, like, fine. They're not
Everybody who's
great.
playing T-Suns now, like, loves their T-Suns and is, like, squeezing every drop out of every stratagem now, and then everybody else who's, like, bandwagoning them just stop playing them.
That's true.
And then here are Grey Knights.
I'm pretty sure Grey Knights are just not very good still.
All right, Contact Lost wants to know how Tau is.
I
How
don't want to know how Tau
Are
is.
going to be a moment to take me to find them. There you go. Another
Oh,
linear upgrade in faction.
That's
So I'm
a little
not.
concerning.
I already won a tattoo bet from Tau doing so well because I too can see the problem of giving a faction massive points decreases on a relatively efficient shooting army. Leagues of Votann, you're also in that house.
Alright, boys. Votann or Tau, break 55 first.
What are they? No, it's surely it's Votann.
Howard
Didn't Votann break
52.
it? Didn't Votann break it last weekend?
Well, no, because this is remember
On
this
the 4-week
chart, there's a
running average.
4-week running average.
Votann. I'm
On
gonna go
this
Votann.
chart.
It's gonna be Votann. You can fuck up and lose as Tau because you give up secondaries. Votann's just like, I don't know, bro. Anyway,
Votann
you
are
lose.
slightly behind Tau right now,
Oh.
but I think that the play rate for Votann is lower.
So
than
here's
it
the
is for
problem
Tau.
with Votann right now is, and Adam Camilleri highlighted it, finding models for that army is real hard, whereas for Tau, the shit that was good last edition and the edition before is still good.
It's
It's
only
the same
hard.
shit that was good in 5th. Like,
I know.
It's only hard to find the Votann models if you're buying them in plastic from Games Workshop, though.
Mhm. Yes.
So
Being-
and specifically in North America, they're very easy to get in the UK.
Which I
Right.
don't understand. I was looking at
Yeah.
one games the other day, and they're like, "Yeah, we've
Skill
got like
issue.
32 in stock, and
Just make-
96
dude,
more on
just
the way
make-
this week."
just make friends with anyone from the UK and have them send you some.
Yeah. I just
Or
like
use a
straight
mail
ordered
form.
gladiators that like everyone's like, I can't get gladiators, and I'm like, there were 10 in stock.
Yep.
You can use a mail forwarding service as well. There are several of them.
Which is what quite a lot of people do.
But
Alright.
yeah, like you basically have to have Sagittar, right, in order to functionally use the Leagues of Votann army as it
I think
exists.
so.
Don't have to, but it
Oh, you-
definitely makes a big difference.
You don't have to. Like, I don't have to do a lot of things, but
Like, the only reason that everybody's like Votann have like 2,200 points is because the Sagittar is like 50 points undercosted. So
Right.
I wouldn't say that much. They only went down.
I know
one.
you wouldn't, but you play Votann.
No, like I do recognize they're undercosted. Like there is no disagreement here that Votann got more than they needed in the slate.
They're the same toughness as like most mainline battle tanks.
Them being toughness 10 is a great feeling when someone shoots a melt at them.
They probably should just like go up 20 points and down 1 toughness and then just like leave them alone.
Yeah, that would
Yeah,
require you
probably.
to actually change data sheets though.
Yeah, and they
They've
only
done
do
that a
that to
couple
Space
times.
Marines.
They've done that a couple times now.
the Sagittar and then like Gladiators have gone into stock in the United States like twice over like the last few months, and they basically sold out immediately. Both.
My
times
favorite
as
was the
well, so it's
Harpy.
hard.
Harpy just being like fucking unobtainium was very funny for a
To be
bit.
fair, Tyranids had that. Like even in the UK,
Malefactors-
Tyranids had that because it was a really dark time. You could not get a Tyranid model for love nor money.
Yeah.
To be fair, that was
Malefictors
also
and
one-
Exocrines right now are almost impossible to find in the United
Yeah,
States.
the same in the UK. Like I had to
Gargoyles as well.
work for
actually.
mine.
But
Uh,
that's it for stats though. Like guys, the meta looks a lot healthier than it used to be. Go play events and break it. We'll see if Space Marines break it when they come out. I don't think they're gonna break it, But some people have
Yeah.
been shooting me concept lists that like hurt my brain a little bit. So
Dude, I think motherfuckers are sleeping on that Ironstorm detachment real heavy. That shit looks.
Don't think anyone's sleeping on that.
I don't think anyone.
I
I
don't-
don't think anybody that
no
matters is sleeping on that
sleeping.
detachment.
When I say sleeping on, I'm not saying like it's not good. Like I think people are like not saying it's like bananas. I've seen a lot of like the Marines book is fine going around, and I don't know that that's the case.
it might
In
be
the context
fine.
of the last 3 months, Marines are probably fine. In the context of right now, they're probably not.
In the context of
Yeah.
launch Eldar, they're pretty terrible.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. I guess the one thing that I haven't seen is a bunch of practice games where I watch people just annihilate their opponent with Marines yet, but I also haven't seen as many practice games
It
with Marines.
seems like the secret is that you remember to take any amount of whirlwinds so that triggering Mercy's weakness is fucking brain dead. And then once you've done that, you can do whatever the fuck you want with the rest of the list.
Why
There's
don't
a
we
reason
talk
these are on my
about
paint desk.
Yeah.
why don't we talk a little bit about the Marine book since like
No,
since
I don't feel like it. I
we-
want to win some tournaments with it before anybody knows what it's doing.
Oh, fair. We can also do that. Yeah, we can do that.
I don't actually know that much. I just like the only one I've even bothered to really look at is the Iron Hands one. I took a brief look at the Salamanders one, but then
Sally's one
going-
is cool.
The Sally's one's cool, but going to write a list with it hurt my head, and I was just like, fucking never mind. So I have a list in my phone named No Fun, Just Gun, and that's the Iron Hands list.
Yep. Look, all I'm saying is, I mean, Nassim and I have had some Discord calls this week, and that's never usually a good sign.
No,
Yeah.
that's never a good sign for the meta.
No.
When the team is excited about Marines, I get worried.
Yeah.
There's no
Look,
banners
dude,
to
they
raise,
put
though.
scouts back to 55.
Yeah,
Do you know how much I fucking love scouts?
Yeah.
The war gear on them is weird now.
Scouts
Who
are
cares?
genuinely my favorite data sheet in 40k, and I don't feel like I feel like that's a thing I like. Just regular scouts, not even sniper scouts, just regular scouts.
Well,
I have
Cyber
been
Scout's
using
don't exist
them. Yeah, I know, but like I have been winning tournaments with them since I started playing, and I just like I've come to realize that scouts are my favorite thing in Warhammer, and that I just need to live with that.
Are you excited about the new sculpt for them?
No, not at all. I just like the data sheet. Like I don't give a
Sculpt
toss
is-
about anything other.
I
Than,
love
I
that
just
sculpt.
really like playing armies that have scouts in them. I think that's what I figured out.
Okay.
Also, I just want to make an announcement that Scary has posted the only acceptable pie chart because it is just a pie.
That's fair. You can also post. You can also post pie to Nathan. If we get a PO box, we would allow that to happen.
Don't send pie to a PO box.
Why not?
What
Don't
if
do
it's like
that.
freeze dried pie?
What? I
It's
mean,
a
if
freeze
somebody
pie.
really wants to send me a pie, key lime pie is my favorite. There you go.
And Alex Taus has his address, so
He does. You probably
There you
have
I
to
have his
find
address if
out.
anyone needs it.
Oh my god! Don't offer that to people. Somebody sent me a pie. Like, there's so many pie charts already in here. I don't need this. Somebody put a pie chart in the 3D printing like advice channel. I don't need that either. Like, guys, please stop.
Good job, guys.
I hate this already, but it's fine.
you
Do
send
not
pie
send
to a
me-
PO box.
Do not send me rhubarb pie. I hate it.
I just like the idea of someone sending you ingredients for a pie. Like, here, bake your own pie, bitch.
Actually, pies are surprisingly easy to make for the most part, so I'm okay with that kind of concept.
All right,
Ben,
I'm gonna.
I
do,
like
I'm gonna.
you
Do the,
more.
I'm gonna
Nice
very
cover,
quickly do the
rhubarb.
plugs.
And then we
plugging.
can move to show
Get down.
questions.
All right, I'm gonna try and speedrun the plugs a little faster because I feel like I'm spending like 4 minutes on them now, and I'm kind of a little bit over that. So we got a bunch of things that we want to do. First of all, YouTube. It's the best place to watch the show. You get to see all the cool infographics and stuff like that, and also see our wonderful, pretty faces. That's youtube.com/statcheck. If you want to be more involved with the community and speaking to us a bunch, patreon.com/statcheck. $5 a month gets you access to our Discord community, as well as the Vibe Check League, which I will be talking about in a little bit because we have some more stuff to talk about there. If you want to see more stuff from us in general, in addition to the regular shows, we also have Enter the Matrix, which is every other Thursday or every other Wednesday, and XM1, which is every other Thursday. Those are on alternating weeks. That's our general 40k and being a person while playing 40k show, and also our Teams Fortress show run by Nathan and Typhus in the case of Enter the Matrix, and Cliff and Tim, so apologies, in the case of XM1. We also have to announce Pumbaa from Team Poland is joining StatCheck as an official host of some capacity. He'll be taking a bunch of extra stuff on End of the Matrix. We're really looking forward to working with Pumbaa. Thank you so much for coming on board. I don't know his real name, I'm going to be honest.
Have it written down somewhere.
It's very interesting because there's two people on our show that I just don't know their real name. Like I couldn't write it down. I could vaguely guess. It's an interesting situation. So yeah, those are both other shows on the network. It should be. I think this is an End of the Matrix week. But honestly, at this point, I just don't know. Time is fake.
This
This
is
is
a X in 1 week that was delayed by 2 weeks, and it's on Wednesday night because Thursday night Tim's going to be traveling to Tampa, which I will also be at. So if anyone wants to come say hi to myself and Tim at Tampa.
You can also check out a bunch of other stuff on stat-check.com. You can see all the metadata dashboard that Jeremy was playing about, that Jeremy and Nathan were playing about with there. You can see the CRS and the ELO and all the other things that allow you to qualify for Team America and Team Canada, as well as just having a good time with stuff like the articles and messing about with like faction rankings and things like that. It's all on the website. You can also, while you're there, check out stat-check.com/coaching. If you're interested in getting some help from myself and or Typhus, drop us a message at coaching@stat-check.com, or there's a link on the website where you can check all that out.
Red Dragon.
Yeah, Red Dragon and Etsy. So Red Dragon, red-dragon.ca is our primary sponsor for all of our merch and stuff like that. You can see the objective mats and dice and all that sort of stuff. We should have a dice restock by Christmas, I think was roughly what was said. So if you're looking to get static dice, that'll be something that will be on the cards soon. We're also going to be having things like table mats going up through there at some point. The designs for that are on our Discord. If you want to see those, do drop into the announcement channel and check it out. They're super cool, and I can't wait to get some to play some games on. You're also, if you're a patron, you'll get access to a now 20% off discount code because it didn't work for a bit, so Dan just upped it. So if you want to get 20% off for it, and he basically ships worldwide for 40k stuff. I don't think he ships to Europe, but other than that, you can pretty much do whatever you want. Dan is an absolute gem, and you should definitely support him. Also, Saltire Games on Etsy do all of our counters and tokens. They've recently launched the black version of all of the counters and tokens, so you don't have to lose them quite so much. And we will hopefully be bringing a bunch of them out to Cali Cup and or Atlanta. So if you want to get some of those and you're over in the States and you don't want to pay the shipping on that, let us know and we can see if we can get you sorted out with that. Cool. I'm going to plug VibeCheck a bit because VibeCheck's being really cool right now. So first thing I need to do is shout out the last VibeCheck league, which was won by, and I need to go check my notes on this one because I'm going to go mad otherwise, Ian, I think. Oh, I really should have prepped this.
It was Ian. Ian won.
Yeah, Ian won the last VibeCheck league. He defeated Chris Irvin in the finals, and then shout out to everybody else who finished top 8 on that one. So we have a $500 Canadian vouchers for that went out. So that should have gone out today. So yeah, we have big TTS leagues with big prizes in the Discord. So if that's something that interests you as well, come check it out. Especially for the one we're doing at the moment, which is VibeCheck Teams. So if you are a member of the StatCheck Patreon Discord, you can get access to the VibeCheck League. There's a channel in there where we are running a 5-person team event for all of our patrons. At the moment, we have a host team, which is myself, Jeremy, Nathan, Tim, and Ben Jurek. Anthony wasn't invited because I put it in the chat and Anthony didn't respond, so I assumed he just wasn't playing TTS. And then Anthony betrayed us and made a team himself. Anthony, who's on your team?
Unbelievable. I just got absolutely ditched by my boys. My team is me, Sam Lemon, Ruben Fernandez, Brian Sipe, and Liam VSL. It's
terrible.
There's also Team Ignite with Vic, Myson, Dave Gaylord, and then at some point Chris Rappert and Yoko Johansson will be joining the Discord, I assume, because they put their names down. There's a ton of awesome people in that league. I think we're up to like 10 teams signed up at the moment, and I expect a few more to be like coalescing over the next couple of weeks. And that will be starting in about 2 weeks' time. So if that's something that interests you, you want to come on as a solo player, there's a bunch of people just making teams from people that are there, or if you want to bring 5 people in, we highly recommend getting you and your 5 friends to sign up to Discord for a couple of months. You can get access to the league. I think we're doubling the prize pool on that one, Jeremy, you said? Yeah, I haven't announced that yet, but so whatever the prize pool is in there, I think we're gonna double it. I don't know if we're gonna double it flatly, like making it 500 for first place and so on and so forth, or if we're going to stretch the pool down a little bit, we'll need to have a chat about that. But there will be $1,000 Canadian of prizes for that tournament. So if that's something that interests you, do check that out. With all that said, we're now going to go on to the show questions. Show questions are, as always, pulled from our Patreon Discord. If you want to get a question asked on the show, best place is to be there. Otherwise, if you send a super chat in the YouTube chat, we will 100% get to it. Otherwise, we will see what we do with the time available. With that said, somebody who's looking at it, want to start us on the first question.
Ben from the Discord asks, how many gladiators is the right number of gladiators?
0 to 3.
I would say 3 to 4.
0 to 3.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with anywhere between 0 to. I could see 4. I could see 2 Reaper, 2 Lancer, or something like that.
I like the Reaper. I like the Lancer. I also think there's a lot of arguments for other stuff besides them. And if you told me you weren't playing any, I wouldn't be mad at you.
Yeah.
Dan F asks, will the gladiators ever be in stock again?
They're in stock in the UK right now. I got 2 on my desk.
Find a friend with a printer. Never worry about stuff like that.
Some of us like plastic.
John
Sure.
asks, so fist or gun at this point, and don't give the both answer.
Is that like in general?
Are we
Redemptors
still in
have both a
shooting
fist
edition?
and a gun.
I'm assuming that they are talking about Space Marines in this situation.
I think they're just talking generally.
Or maybe they're
In
talking
general,
generally.
if you can gun, you should gun. But if you can't gun, fist is an appropriate substitution if you play it right.
What if you do both?
If you play it right and your army's stupid fucking fast, that is the
Yeah.
only situation in
Like,
which
like
is
if you're
acceptable.
playing CSM or Redemptor Dreadnoughts or World Eaters or Angron or, there are ways to melee this edition. You just have to work for it. But when you work for it, there is still a ton of jank you can do in the fight phase that people underestimate. And you can 100% get away with playing a melee focused list.
Yeah, I mean,
And
the
then
biggest thing about the punch part of that equation is that, like, is the entire enemy army 6 inches apart at all times, so you can't pile into shit you didn't charge? No? Well, all right. Wee!
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like, melee this edition feels so much more gotcha-y than last edition.
Oh, it's so bad. It's so
Like,
much
when you throw
worse.
melee, like, because they worked so hard to remove all the easy stuff, the only shit you can do now sucks ass to have happen to you. You're just like, this can't be right. And then it just is, and you're like, I guess. And you just see, like, a Chaos Lord, like, fucking, like, Tokyo drift around your squad to get into range of a unit, like, 14 inches away from it, and pile into it and bop it on the head, and you're like, cool, I couldn't declare you, but you're dead now because I happened to high roll. Or, like, what I did to Mycin on the LGT stream, which is, like, high roll the charge. I guess your army's tagged now. Yeah, there's...
Good job, Games Workshop.
Yeah, it's not great. I'm not super... What was wrong with last edition's melee?
Also,
Somebody
can I
had
have, like,
somebody-
3 points of strength back? What the fuck?
or some AP. Like a
Both.
little
For
AP?
the- Just AP 2 and 3. That's fine. I don't need to be 4 like a lot of shit was.
Yeah, I just need AP3 on melee weapons.
There was definitely too much AP4 in melee last edition.
Yeah,
Like, if my
oh
opponent gets a
yeah.
save, how dare they?
Yeah, I would-
Disrespectful.
Actively
John has a
upset.
second part to his question, which is, are we still in a shooting edition?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and it's not close. Like
The best units in Liam VSL's Combat Chaos Space Marines list were the Forge Fiends, guys. Like,
yep.
James is asking, which team is your current favorite to win the Vibe Check League?
All right. Let's go through the team names that are currently signed up because there's some pretty fun ones.
I think it's Ignite or the Dutch, probably.
definitely not the Dutch, so Ignite.
Well, the Dutch team is 3 Dutch plus Pumbaa and Sako.
So definitely not the Dutch team.
Okay. no faith in Dino.
I love Sako, but I'm not rooting for a team with Pumbaa on it.
That's... Wait, what are you gonna do for Alpine? No.
Oh, no.
Dude, you saw what happened to Alpine. You know we can't trust him.
So register to Vibe Check right now, because it's fun and I love names like this. We have the Almost in Shape Vikings. We have Tribute, because this is not the greatest team that has ever existed. We have Hack Job, who are all in US time zones. We have Stacked Check, which is the Dutch team with
dope.
Pumbaa and Sako. We have What's a Time Zone? Good luck. Which is Anthony, Brian, Liam, VSL, Ruben Fernandez, and Sam Lemon.
The good luck bit is about like where you're supposed to list your time zone. That's not the team name.
Well, that's your team name now because you didn't put another team name in. You also didn't list your captain, so
We
you
don't
guys are
have
getting
one.
yellow carded at the
Anthony's
event.
the captain now.
Yeah,
Who?
Anthony, you're in charge.
Oh fuck.
We have a range of tryhards. We have team name pending, hopefully something witty. We have Team Ignite, two of which's members still aren't in the Discord.
And they've still not given a captain or a time. They have given a time zone now, though, so they're only getting a yellow
They've
card
given
and a
us
red.
3 time zones, GMT plus 1, 2,
Yeah,
and
that's fine.
3.
It counts.
We have the Northern Hemisphere Metasoft, which is Alex Tau, Stan Hayden, Oliver Johnson, Will Milton, and Nathan B. And then we have the Widest Peanuts You Know. We have Team Ramrod.
Real close.
We have Prestige Worldwide. We have Name to be confirmed.
Personally, I think Team Peanuts has got this.
Yeah.
I think it's really funny that Team Ignite just suddenly formed because people were like, trying to recruit David and
People were trying to recruit Lennon, who never interacts in our Discord even slightly.
Sean
They're
talks
like,
a
yo,
lot. John talks a lot in the bugs chat.
Bugs chat,
so-
exactly,
Yeah, he
exactly,
does.
and
He
exclusively.
does answer questions there.
Yeah, it's because it's significantly better than the Art of War Bugs chat, as we all know.
It definitely doesn't require him to be on the clock and answer like a customer service man, so he can do what he wants there.
Yep,
You call someone an idiot?
Yeah.
it's fine. I've heard that we're going to get maybe an Icelandic team and some other ones as well.
I heard
Like,
there was a
for-
German team looking to join and jump in as well. So
I also heard there might have
So-
been a couple Goonhammer teams that may join. So, Innes,
Mhm.
what is the registration deadline? Since you've already mentioned this, when does this?
it is the
actually kick off?
22nd of October. The actual kickoff is the 23rd.
So just under 2 weeks if you do want to join us.
Yep, 2
And
weeks.
it is
2 weeks to figure out a
essentially
team.
$15 a person because the event, like, you don't have to stay past it. Although we'd love if you did and like participated in more events and stuck around in a Discord that is actually a great community.
Yep.
Essentially $15 a person to participate.
It's also 2 weeks per game. Like you can figure that out.
I promise you it will be fun. Even some of the Chicago locals are trying to figure out a team, although they're in like a negotiation to try to figure out how they're going to do that. With zero teams experience, it will be kind of amusing to see what happens with them. But
Sorry, we're also going to start applying random penalties to any team that has more than one person who's won a GT on it. So
I mean, I was actually going to start.
you have to
I'm
play
gonna
Drakari, and you have to play.
You have to play the GT faction, the faction that you last won a GT with.
You have to play whatever you won your golden ticket with if you have a golden ticket.
Easy. All fine. All of those answers are okay.
All right.
Those are all
we're
the
gonna
same
keep-
answer for me.
We're going to do some more questions now because that seems more fun. Autark, in quotation marks, Ben. Would you rather fight one child-sized Angron or one Angron-sized child?
The child every time.
Yeah, the child at Angron size.
You could
That
just
feels
hit one.
significantly less sketchy.
That child could skin its knee and probably just lay there for a while, and you'd win the fight. Like,
It would be
Yeah.
kind. Could you imagine punting Angron though? How much fun that would be for like 30 seconds.
he has wings.
No. Yeah, wait. More importantly, like even in the books, right? Like little tiny baby Angron killed several full-grown men when they went to capture him.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah,
can surely
but just
kill
think how
whatever
funny
amount
that
is
would be.
times- Yeah. Fair.
But just like imagine the visual of just like tiny Angron like spinning through the air.
Team Rocket style into the
Yeah.
sun.
Big ass axes.
Baby Angron's blasted off again.
Yeah.
And then Ben, of course, asks a cooking question because that's inevitable, which is, what are your preferred pasta sauces?
I think he's
Vodka.
genuinely just trying to sort a menu for us going to Vegas. By the way,
Vodka
I mean,
is the
I
answer.
prefer a vanilla almond milk white sauce. on my pasta.
You can make that if you too don't read the type of your almond milk that you're making a sauce with. Don't ask me how I know that.
okay, let's
I
move
agree
on.
with Anthony that it's vodka sauce, though. That is the
Yeah,
best
vodka sauce. If you're going to a new Italian restaurant, you're not sure if it's going to be good, get the penne alla vodka. That'll tell you everything you need to know about the place.
Right. Then John asks, how do you reconcile with extreme stat outliers like a faction with a 35% win rate and one person wins a GT and bumps it up to a 50? So
point
we
in
ignore
our-
them usually.
Usually we try to ignore factions with less than 10 players on a weekly basis. I just try not to talk about them, or if I talk about them, I make sure to couch them. On the metadata dashboard, Cliff puts some transparency things on there. So if you see factions with really low participation rates, that those factions usually become transparent, so they're a little less obvious on the stats page. I mean, you reconcile it by saying that occasionally, even a broken clock is right twice a day, basically, as long as it's a 12-hour clock.
You have an 8-hour
Yeah.
clock that can be right 3 times a day. Don't be ruled down by society's expectations.
I just wanted to say, JS says, riddle me this. Why is Death Guard the only Chaos Marine faction to not have access to Forge Fiends? And if they could take them, what ability would they have?
They really are the only one, aren't they? I didn't even think about that till just now.
At least until Empress Children comes out.
Oh man.
I thought his camera went dark all of a sudden.
What ability would they have, though? Would they expand contagion range to another
No.
unit or something like that?
I think they would make you roll twice for their devastating. They wouldn't get devastating wounds. Their weapons would just innately be hazardous, and you have to re-roll successes.
if you're in contagion range, you're not. If you're firing a unit that's in contagion range, you're not hazardous.
Yeah, there you go.
It'd be like,
I like
if you're firing at a unit in contagion range, you can like re-roll the shots or something like that.
Tom H asks, now that you can triple vect, what strat no longer exists?
Command reroll.
Command
Yo,
reroll.
that-
So for anybody who doesn't know, you can do the Vanguard Onslaught or Vanguard whatever Space Marines one enhancement for Vect. You can collect his Vect, Calidus Vect, and Watchmaster Vect with Deathwatch now, which is just hilarious.
It's bad, but it's funny.
Vecting the German Demons player's CP reroll is how we won that round. So don't you besmirch the good name of
I know it's
vecting CP reroll.
Especially since
If
you
you
can't
don't
make
have a
it free
choice,
anymore.
Right.
I mean, it's got to be like slamming triple Vect on Profane Zeal, right? Like just the funniest
just
thing.
make it so nobody can use it ever again.
It's like this stratagem. No,
Yeah.
you slam like 2 on that and 1 on armor contempt, and you're like chilling through the rest of the tournament.
Yeah. Ah,
Every time it moves, it has to desperate escape because of its own sticky goo.
I like how they do the Eldar thing where they reflect their speed and like their movement characteristic and the strats and everything having fly. They do that to Death Guard, but the other way, where like there's no movement buffs and they are really slow and they have no way to make it better. And you're just like, all right, okay, sure.
I guess this army's slow. What does it get as a compensation? Oh no, movement value is just inherent, right? Like it's just the thing you have. It's not a thing you
Yeah,
pay like resources for.
No, it's just low. Yeah. At least Death Shroud don't have advance anymore, so
They've not done that in a long time, to be fair.
Nikki D asks, what Space Marine unit isn't yet removed from the Codex but should be?
Redemptors.
Nah.
Whirlwinds, 100%. Like they should
Oh,
not have
yeah.
made the translation.
Whirlwinds,
That-
rhinos, drop pods.
Drop pods are fine. Drop pods are so
Tactical
like
Marines.
drop pods are so iconic that I think if
Tactical
you got rid
Marines
of
is
them,
the
I would
choice,
genuinely
yes.
just quit Warhammer.
I
But
think tactical Marines and any firstborn tank. So Predators.
I haven't-
as well.
when's the last time you saw a tactical marine in a serious tournament list? Because I think it might be 7th Ed.
Dude, I run fucking 15 of them in World Eaters. They just have chain axes.
No. I mean like the actual the tactical marines data sheet.
I don't think I've
No.
seen.
I
it.
don't think I've seen one on the
table.
table since 7th Ed in a list that I was like even remotely thought was taking itself seriously.
They got combat squads back in the Codex.
Dude, I don't care. Are they 7 points a model yet?
No, they're like 13 points a model.
Is 7 points a model even cheap enough to use them?
7 points a model, you would definitely take them because they
7
are.
was a model I would run like 4 squads, I think. Like 35 points for that, like you would run them.
OC2, there's still 2 wounds and T4 with a 3-up. Like they're not that bad that 7 points a model wouldn't be taken.
Like they're the same points as
Agree with
gargoyles
you.
at that point. Like you're fine with that, right?
Yeah, I would
They
definitely
don't
take
fly.
a 2-wound gargoyle that has a 3-up.
Sam has 2 questions. The first of which is, in Age of Sigmar, there's an event called NashCon in which they allow each player to submit 2 lists of their faction, and before each game you decide which list to take. What do you think of such a format, and would you like to play in a...
Bro, we
in
can't get
that
people to
kind
paint
of format?
one list properly or know the rules for it. Like,
Yeah.
To be fair, if you're forced to use the same detachment
No.
and then you
Nope.
just
no,
get
it would have to
two
be like
lists-
2 different detachments and stuff, right? Like, you'd have to make it like 2 different detachments, no unit overlap. Like, you could make it interesting, but
No.
no unit overlap is a battle line. But like, it just wouldn't be. It doesn't sound that fun.
Just
It kind of
Warhammer
it just
isn't
makes
a best
everything
of
even
isn't a best
more-
of whatever
Yeah.
format. Unlucky.
it makes
like
everything even more coin flippy, which is not what I want personally.
Also going to let people know that best of formats are funny because statistically they like don't make things more even, but that's
they
neither
don't
here nor
change
there.
the outcome.
They
You just
don't.
spend more time playing games.
Yeah.
good job.
The second question is, instead of having tiebreakers during singles events such as opponent game win percentage, battle points, strength of schedule, etc., what do you think of TOs simply awarding all of the people who went 5-0 instead?
Yeah, I think you genuinely that's the way you deal with tiebreakers. Everybody who went 5-0 is first place. Well done, all of you. Congratulations.
Also,
You want more segregation? Run more rounds.
stop running 5-round events
Especially at
with
like
300
RTTs.
people.
Tiebreakers do not matter at RTTs. Everybody who went 3-0 in RTT won. Congratulations to all of you.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. Also, anything that makes there be less OGW around.
Yeah, I just
Every time
genuinely
I have
don't
to play
think
in a-
like. Sorry, Anthony.
I was just saying, every time I have to play an OGW event, I end up angry.
Somebody's going to ask me to elaborate on best of formats not making things more fair. There's actually a
No,
really good
let's just
episode
not.
of a show. There's a really good episode of a show that talks about how best of formats actually don't make things more fair. And I'm going to link it in the show description later when I find it. I think it is Adam Ruins Everything I think he talks about best of formats not improving things statistically, but I'll figure it out and I'll post it below because he goes into a better explanation than I have.
It's going to be something like the win rate in chess is basically the same as the win
It's
rate
actually
for
professional sports and best of sevens and professional sports and stuff
yeah,
like that.
it's going to be great.
Because I think it's the football episode, but we're going to continue on to Typhus's question because he asked a question in the Discord, despite the fact that he doesn't have to, which is who of the stat check crew would you associate with each Primarch? And we're going to include everyone. So we're going to start with Jeremy because Anthony's the first on this list.
Well, let's just do it in order so we don't get lost. Like
There are a
Anthony.
lot of us now.
Angron,
Angron.
Fulgrim.
Innes.
which one are you pointing at? Like
I was pointing at that way.
Jeremy.
Jeremy. Yeah, I was trying to go that way. Yeah.
Innes.
I don't relate to Angron at all. Ferris, because he insert joke about no head here.
Pumbaa.
Which one's most
Magnus,
like a cat?
right?
Perturabo?
No, it's Magnus. It's the
Yeah, it
most
really is
like,
Magnus.
here's my perfect 88-step plan. One thing went wrong. Ah!
Jeremy. I was
Dorn.
just gonna pick the. Yeah,
Yeah.
Dorn's a good one.
Yeah, it's got to be Dorn, right? Like just the perfect calculation all the time.
Cliff.
Valdor?
I was gonna say he gets Valdor. Yeah,
Yeah.
he gets the
It's
Primarch.
Sanguinius because he's the most beautiful man I've ever seen.
Actually,
I think Sanguinius has more ass than Cliff does, though.
That is true.
Yeah, so it can't be Sanguinius. Unlucky.
Stats Dad, Lorgar. Sorry, buddy.
Oh, that's
No,
the worst.
not at all.
Ow, that hurts my feelings so deeply.
Oh no! If I was gonna give Nathan anybody, it'd have to be Perturabo, right?
I was gonna say Fabius. We'll just downgrade him slightly.
It's not a
no,
Primarch.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's not even a Primarch.
You're very Gulliman to me, Nathan.
That's fine. Oh, somebody said Kasaro Khan. I accept that, actually.
Just for
I'll
the
take
beard,
it.
yeah.
I'll take it.
Typhus. I mean, it's Mortarian, right? Like it
Well,
just has to be.
Nathan
It's in the
Roberts
name.
is next. Don't forget.
Oh, Nathan Roberts is
He's
next.
there.
Sorry, I read that as Nathan.
Nathan is. I don't know him well enough to be like, bam.
Whenever I can't think of one, I tend to think of like Gilliman or Dorn as kind of our two more generic Primarchs.
I feel like Nathan could be Alfarius because all of Team England's the same.
Oh, that's a
That's
good
very
one.
fair.
Uh,
He's Omegon because he's the little brother as well.
Yeah, sure.
Typhus is next.
Honestly, as much as I would love to be Fulgrim, that's Typhus.
Typhus is Fulgrim.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
And then Pumbaa's
Pumbaa
on
again.
here a second time, and he's still Magnus.
Yeah.
No, this time he's Malkador the Sigilite. Like he's just the little dude.
Yeah.
Which Primarch has the most cat ears energy? That's
Magnus, right?
Magnus.
It's gotta be. Yeah.
yeah, Magnus. Yeah. The nipple horns are basically cat ears, but for your chest.
Yeah.
Yes. Sam asks, "What do you guys think about the WTC FAQ erratas? Any notable standouts?" I think the
just don't
biggest
care.
one is that one-shot weapons come back on everything. Right?
No,
honest to
that's
God, like all of the things I've seen people like freak out a little bit about.
Just don't care.
Well, it's all just like stuff that I've seen across every tournament. We just like didn't play it at WTC, which was better, but like whatever.
Yeah, we still have the charge through walls thing. I could not care less about any other thing they have.
However,
Jeremy, I think, has a good one.
so there's two things. One, their insistence right now is that they do not balance the game; they merely FAQ it to keep it consistent. So that wall charge might not last.
Yeah,
It's
that
not a
would be
balance thing. That's a playability thing.
What's
Anyway,
the other one, though, Jeremy?
So the one that made me chuckle a lot is that transports, if you use firing deck, don't consume single one-shot weapons.
Dude, this bad boy can fit so many demo charges in it.
Yeah.
I just want to run 6 Goliaths around the table now with acolytes inside, just shooting demo charges every turn.
Killing your army faster than Tau do.
I mean, it's only 4 hazardous checks per Goliath.
No, dude, it's plus the base one. Like they have a cache of
Also is
demolition charges on
armed
the
with
side.
cache of-
No, I'm not going to use the
Yeah.
cash demo charges.
You're not going to use the free extra demo charge. You're just going to
Oh,
throw
that's
the
right, I
4
don't have to punch
inside.
for that anymore because we're playing power level.
Well, you would also like you want the truck to explode, right? So you can get out and do it again.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Plus, you can throw the saboteur that's inside it.
Yep.
Eric asks a longer question, which is, "Hi guys, your coverage and hype for team events at WTC has been a really potent catalyst for getting me more interested in it. It was great watching all the footage, commentary, and post-game analysis, particularly for somewhat lesser-known teams. Really excited to see what they do next year. If you had to guess for next year, who do you think the second-ranked team from the Oceania subcontinent will pick as their captain next year?"
The second ranked team.
So Australia and New Zealand have both already announced their captains.
So
So
it's
like
New
I don't think this
Zealand.
is a question.
It's who got picked as New Zealand's captain?
Finn Decker.
Yeah, I was
They
gonna
announced
say-
that
So it's not- this
like,
isn't
announced that,
even
like,
a
weeks
David.
ago.
This
This
isn't
was an
even a
attempt at a
David
David
Gaylord
Gaylord question.
reference. I know it was.
It's
but
fell
I wanted
flat.
To get better. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
bud.
sorry, they picked their captain already. It's Finn Decker.
And
Sorry.
honestly, Australia will. Taos is right. Australia will be the second-ranked Oceania team in 2024.
Well, yeah, that's because like Philippines are going or some shit, right?
Richard asks, looking at the new Space Marines Codex coming out, are there any units or combos you're looking forward to trying out with the new detachments?
I could talk about. Okay, I have a dumb combo that I really, really, really want to try in Firestorm.
I'm
Okay,
already
so
upset.
here's the setup, right? No, dude, Anthony, you're gonna hate this. So you have a Land Raider Redeemer packed to the Guilds of the Aggressors and like a captain and stuff, and you throw it forward and you get the guys out, and the aggressors are not the point here. The aggressors are the window dressing, like they're a thing that is involved in this list. And then you have a drop pod, okay, and inside that drop pod is 9 Infernus Marines and Vulcan Heston, and you get the drop pod and you slam it down on the turn that you disembark from the Land Raider next to the Land Raider. And you get out with your Infernus Marines, and they fire at something, and you get full wound rerolls because of Vulcan pointing at them and saying you have wound rerolls, and your
Oh, I know
Redeemer
where
gets it
this
as
is
well,
going.
and then you embark them in the Land Raider.
Yeah. Oh, for the love of God.
I love everything.
And I don't think it's good. I do not care. I'm going to play that on RTT at some point.
I
Can't
love
be
it.
any
This is
worse than
someone
your
actually
movie.
taking advantage of the fact that you can take a squad in the 5 to 9 range. As
Yeah, dude,
opposed
I'm just
to-
gonna understrength it. Like
Yeah,
you're
no, that's
paying.
what I mean. Like, but it's a legal understrength.
Yep.
Is what I mean.
Be like understrength 9-man squad. Let's do this.
Question
It's
from
gonna
Luke.
suck.
Question from Luke is, can we do an Anthony Learns Math episode about pie charts with Cliff and Nathan?
No.
That sounds
episode-
awesome. I would love to do one where I teach you guys about pie charts. Actually, I think that'd be really funny. I'd be like, look how cool it looks. And you guys are just freaking out the entire time. That'd be great.
And then I'm going to go into our super chats. Cass says, didn't know it was your first GT win. Congrats, Jeremy.
love
Dorian
that guy.
Bashaw asks a rules question. Actually, a stats compiling question. A question on stats compiling with the incoming Space Marine Codex. How will you break down these Space Marine based chapters or detachments?
The same
it
way
will
we
be
do it
broken
now.
down the same way that you see for the Tyranids thing, and then we'll talk about anything if there's like huge outliers like we did previously. Someone just bought a Land Raider. I also can't find Land Raiders in the US right now, so it's
You can also do that combo with 6 Inceptors and a Repulsor.
And then the next thing is from Chris, which says, Nathan, a deep dish pizza is a 3D pie chart of how much deep dish pizza is left. That's true. That's true for all pies. And most pizzas. Not maybe also square pizzas, but we'll talk about that later. Luke McCarthy asks, can we get Nathan a spherical pie chart ornament for Christmas? Sure. You can talk to one of my co-hosts about it. I'm sure they'll figure it out for you.
You know, like the Lego globe that they do? That, but it's just like a pie chart.
Yep. Davlos, who submitted a currency that I don't recognize, which is SGD.
Singaporean something,
Yeah,
right?
Singaporean dollars.
Okay. Cat petting and coffee tax for 3D bar chart. Sorry, not sorry, Nathan, which is generally the reaction I get when people do this kind of stuff to me. Ben McJurek says, not only a chart, but make it a 3D chart and show us the interactable graph in VR. Stat check joins the metaverse.
We would never. We're better than that.
Adam Camilleri asks, Jeremy, the people want to know what dark packs you forged in order to get 6 Sagittars together, and how does one learn that skill?
So here's a really fun
You
story.
can buy them from Dan, probably.
No, actually, I did not buy these ones from Dan because Dan has not had any in stock since the book launched almost. Actually, Dan has 6 Sagittars on his shelf right now. But yeah, I went and used the Google shopping feature. So I just went and looked for League of Votan Sagittar, clicked the shopping button on Google, and it let me know everywhere that in Canada that had them in stock, that had free shipping, and that had them at a discount. There are now none left in stock anywhere in Canada that ship. So that was fortuitous, but yeah, I bought 7. I shipped 1 to a buddy, one of the StatCheck patrons who was looking for 1, and then kept 6 for myself. At the same time, I believe 2 others of my locals did the same thing. We bought something like, I think it was 18 Sagittars between the 3 of us, and just said they're here now. The 7 that I bought came from Edmonton, which is, anyone who knows the scale of Canada, about a 6-hour flight away. And yeah, it's a good time.
Next on it is from Pizza Guardian, which is, do you guys have a subscribe star account? I don't know what that is.
No idea what that is.
When this is Ishik, by the way, from WTC. When he asked this, I then looked it up, and I still don't fully understand what subscribe star is.
And then
I assume it's something that Ishik has sales in, so he can get a private island bot.
Contact Lost, which is probably just Tomic, asks, is Beef Wellington still a pie? I don't think Beef Wellington is a pie, but maybe I'm not an expert on pies anymore, or never was.
I was really hyped by the idea of beef Wellington, then I found out it has mushroom in it, and I'm just like not a fan.
And then Brian
It is a
asks,
steak dish. I do not think it qualifies as a pie.
And then Brian Sipe asks, how do I spend Canadian dollars, asking for a friend? If you win Red Dragon's thing, they will just give you credit equivalent to the Canadian dollars, and you don't have to worry about how to spend it.
Because you won't have to worry about it, Brian. Not going to happen.
Also
Plus,
true.
any team that involves a StatCheck host can't win the prizes. So,
Yep. Also,
Sorry,
I apparently missed a question in the show questions thing, but I think it's because somebody posted it in the wrong place. Tricky Nick asks, you infiltrating 11 Terminators or playing 6 Dreadnoughts now?
probably both. I like the idea of both. But look, I already have my 3 pluses painted. You guys can't even accuse me of bandwagoning on this one. Like, literally have already won a tournament with 3 pluses Dreadnoughts. So, like, for
And
me...
I'm sure you've also won a tournament with 3 Redemptors as well, right?
No, I've never won a tournament with 3 Redemptors because I didn't own 3 Redemptors.
Do you now?
Yes.
And then that's...
And I already owned 3 Whirlwinds too. I didn't have to buy a lot for this list. I will be trying the infiltrating Terminators though, because that list does sound hilariously fun.
All right. And then
And Strike went down in points, which is fun too.
That's it for Super Chats and also for Discord questions. Somebody said there was a Nurgling question, but we talked about a Nurgling question last week, but I didn't see a Super Chat about a Nurgling question.
Oh,
and I
there
don't
was
really...
one. There was one in the Discord. It is, if you threw a Nurgling off a building, would it splat like dough? Like, would it just flatten, or would it like explode?
It would pop.
I think it
like
would.
A water
I think it would
balloon.
flatten, explode, and then like rematerialize and just wander about its day,
Oh,
That
like
is
a Tom and
good
Jerry.
answer.
it was in the
episode.
main show questions, by the way.
Did I just
Alawoozle
miss
asked
it?
it. If you dropped it, yeah, it's after John's question about are we still in a shooting edition and James's question of what the favorite to win vibe check was. And it's if you dropped a Nurgling from a great height, would it deform like a lump of dough or burst like a tomato?
I say burst like a tomato.
Yeah, Anthony, you've been
Or
kicked
like a
off your team by the
really-
way because Liam needs a new army. So
Fair enough.
Brian,
Right,
just sell like
um,
half your Harlequins.
Half.
Brian, sell 3 models from
Yeah.
sell your regular avatar. You're never going to use it anyway, and you can buy Liam all the factions.
Most of the questions are just Johannes telling me and wanting to know more about randomness in things and best of formats, which I'll talk about some other time. Johannes also asks what stores in the UK have gladiators.
I bought mine from Element. They had like 10 plus in stock last I looked, but I don't know
They
if
don't
they've
have
sold
it in
out a
stock
bunch.
right now, but they do have a whole bunch coming on Friday, according to their website. And Element is usually pretty good with predicting their stock because they're one of the largest retailers in the UK, so they get preferential treatment.
And then the
Yeah,
other one is Cultist Chan, who asks, does Red Dragon ship to US for 40k stuff? And they do indeed. I have gotten a bunch of stuff from Red Dragon for
Including
40k
a Bane Blade.
stuff. Although that was probably mostly just because, yeah, it's somewhere. I put it away because I don't have time to build it right now, but I'll do it later.
You better be leaving part of that for me to build.
Yeah, I'm going to leave just like one piece for you to assemble. Don't worry about it.
Sorry, I'm going to bring a ton of purity seals to glue onto it, so that you have to paint a bunch of purity seals as well.
I mean, okay. I'm just going to write Innis on them a bunch
Yeah, that's fine.
in tiny micro pen. Hey, that's it. That's all I got. We're done. Good night. So long. Thanks for all the fish.
It's a good one, Brian.
Brian Sipe says the only hope for the meta is to get Liam so many options he doesn't have any practice with any particular army. It's for the people, guys. Is the Baneblade on my fridge? It's not. It's not on top of my fridge.
Is the Beyblade here with us in the room with us right now?
It's in my heart where it belongs always.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for sticking with us for another hour and a half long show of Stat Check. This was episode 64, 10 out of 10, no notes. Please do remember to check out all the things that I mentioned earlier. That's YouTube, Patreon, coaching, XM1, Enter the Matrix, Red Dragon, Stat and Saltar Games on Etsy. And also, if you're coming to the California Cup, please do check out the classes. They are on Eventbrite. There is a link down below. We would love to see you there. The event is in just under a month now, and we can't wait to be out there. If you're also going to be at the event, come say hi. We'll be doing coverage and all that sort of thing there. We should have, hopefully at some point, we'll have like a blog post go out that just like tells you guys what we're doing for that, because it would be super cool, and we hope you guys tune in and enjoy. Otherwise, have a great week. Good luck at any tournaments throughout this weekend. Nathan, roll us out.
Bye-bye.